the person of Madame Anita Disoso. They also have their national chairperson in the person of Madame Angel Nutako. The others include the vice chairman, Mr. Geoffrey Atakli Banini, the secretary, Mr. Wolanyon Agradi, organizer, Mr. Aklom Kofi Dodunu, deputy treasurer, Ms. Yvette Mototi. The youth organizer is Mr. Elike Amenyau. The public relations officer is Mr. Francis Azohade. And then you have one Mr. James Agama and Mr. Francis Seshi. These are the names submitted to me as those who have come on the demonstration to draw our attention to that unsavory remark. Honorable members, this is your house. You either develop it or you try to destroy it. You know the consequences of that. I preside and I will apply the rules strictly. Strictly. Anybody who disagrees is at liberty to do the proper thing. But I'll apply the rules from today on strictly. The matters that you just draw my attention to are all covered by the rules. And so once again, members, take time to read the rules. That will reduce this tension in the House. Again, take time, let's work together. You see each other as strangers, and in fact, enemies. And so you don't even have patience to listen to each other. Please, that is not what Parliament is about. If that has been the case, there will be no need to establish a Parliament. We'll allow you to, on the street, slug it out there. Then they know who is stronger. But that is not to be. We took time from 2002 and experience to iron out these rules. Don't let's make the rules useless. They are to guide us. We'll get enough time for all of you. Please, just be tolerant of each other's views. We are different. We have different perspectives. That's why we are not members of the same party. Leaders, try and be your leaders. Don't mislead us. You should rather be more patient and tolerant with each other. And you know when one is on the feet, please, you give signal. If you catch the eye of the speaker, he will allow you to speak. And the others will have to resume his or her seat. And then we move on. Ghanaians want to hear you. I'm getting very, very worried and concerned about what is happening. It's not only me. I receive on a daily basis a lot of concerns from elders, not only in Ghana, outside Ghana. We cannot afford to let our people down. Honourable members, I would have preferred we go straight to the debate. But since the leaders want us to take the urgent question, I will proceed to call on the member who has filed the question. And I think there are two members. One, the Member of Parliament for Swami, Mr. John Dakun, and then the Member of Parliament for Asokwa, Ms. Patricia Appiagyei. So we'll start with the Member of Parliament for Swami. Please, you may ask your question now. Let me listen to the majority leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we said urgent question 7B because 7A we are told was not transmitted to the minister. So the Minister for Energy has left. So we are taking only 7B, and there's an agreement that there will be no follow-up questions so that we can move straight to the debate.
Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, those of us on this side have always shown tolerance. Indeed, we've shown tolerance, Speaker, as you have often cancelled. We were struck that the Minister for Energy and Green Transition was programmed to be in the House to give a briefing on energy transition. It took the intervention of the majority leader. We were going to take questions advertised in his name. Because it is very interesting and revealing that that question, 7A, we are being told it was not transmitted, but you transmitted all the questions in the name of the energy minister and then even his briefing. And you left out only that question. Very interesting. Because it's very revealing. We would tolerate them. But it is indeed revealing that they left out only that question. Whatever it is, we'll come to it. You cannot hide. You answer that question. Today or tomorrow, you will answer that question. Speaker, on that note, we will agree that we should proceed.
Minority Chief Whip, you know, no member of parliament transmits questions to ministers. So why are you addressing your colleagues as if they have failed to do so? It is done by the staff of the parliamentary service. The question is admitted by the speaker. It's processed through the clerk. And there's a whole department in charge of transmitting questions and following up on the questions until they are answered. And then the same process, it will be advertised, and the minister will be informed to come and answer. So it's not the failure or refusal of any member of parliament, whether minority or majority, to do so. Please, you know it.
Because we are very tolerant, so we understand them. So Speaker, shall we proceed to take 7B?
Actually, what I know about you is you are civil with your language. As for being tolerant, I'm not too sure about that. But for your language, you do all you can to be very civil. And then you respect your colleagues when you are speaking. Tolerance is another matter. Even sometimes, I'm not sure I'm tolerant myself. So it's a human failure, it's a weakness, but we'll try to do so. I can see my friend looking at me. Yes, so we'll take item 7B. Yes.
So we are taking, with respect, the agreement was that we'll take only 7B, after which we'll start the debate.
Yes.
Yes.
7B. 7B. The Member of Parliament for Asokwa. well, we will reserve it for her to come and ask appropriately. Yes, Deputy Whip, Minority.
Yes. Speaker, thank you very much. Respectfully, she directed that I ask the questions on her behalf, so subject to your directions, please.
May you read the standing orders? The appropriate standing order, please.
Speaker, I have a permission to ask the question, so that is what I'm saying. So, Mr. Speaker, with your leave,
Why are you struggling? You have the standing orders with you. Just read it.
Speaker,
Yes, honorable member, please go on.
thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I rise to ask this question on behalf of Madam Patricia Piaget, which is to ask the Minister for Gender.
Yes.
Children and Social Protection, what measures the ministry has put?
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, just this past weekend, you organized an orientation program to orient members of parliament, to show them how to do their work. This side of the house chose not to attend, and we are seeing the results and the effect of not attending. Mr. Speaker, this is the more reason why this side of the house should have taken advantage of the orientation program that you organized, because we're taught all these things. So please, let's not politicize these affairs. The Speaker knows what he's doing when he organizes an orientation. Wherever the orientation is, please. It is in Ghana. So you should attend so that you can do this job very well. Mr. Speaker, I think you should be merciful today. Let him ask the question. And I'm sure next time they'll take advantage of the orientation program that you will organize. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Speaker, let me let the leader know that a specific order is Order 88.3. That is the order. And the member didn't want to sound verbose. At conclave, he knows, and he was told that the deputy leader is out of jurisdiction. And we agreed there. It was needless for us to repeat that. You were told, you were carried along. You are supposed to carry this house along. Leader, when you speak like this, Leader, when you speak like this, you are a very fine gentleman. We respect you. But when you start punching us and speaking like this, you are compelling us to also come and punch you. And how will you carry the house? It is Order 88.3 if you don't know. We know. We on this side know. So we on this side, we know the others. We are not. It is. Speaker, we will not go into the merits and demerits of what happened over the weekend. We are on record to have written formally and communicated formally. We want to leave it aside. We communicated formally to the clerk our reservations. And Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, we had said that any time such, and we don't doubt the wisdom of the Speaker. We don't. We on this side do not doubt the wisdom of the Speaker. Those of you sitting at the back saying that you should quote the orders, you better learn your orders well. You better learn your orders. Speaker, your Honorable Jerry Ahmed, Speaker, the Honorable Jerry Ahmed, this caucus has seen some huge potential in him. That is why, Speaker, on our front bench, he is the only first-time member of Parliament who has been allowed to sit in front. None of you can sit in front. None of you at the back. None of you at the back will be allowed to sit at the front bench. What you should be doing is to be learning. You should be taking a cue. Why the Honorable Ahmed was recognized by the caucus and was given that mandate to sit in front. You will never sit here at this time. You will never sit here. You will never sit here. So, Speaker, I think the member should be allowed. The member elected not to quote the orders. So, Speaker, the member should be allowed to ask the question. We have spent too much time, and then the debate can start.
Yes, honorable members, the standing order is what the Minority Chief Whip referred to, Standing Order 88.3. And it says, in the absence of the member, referring to the member who has filed a question, any other member so authorized may, with the prior permission of the Speaker, ask the question. So, honorable members, in practice, what you do is to state that I have the authority of the person who has filed the question and who, for good reason, is not available. And I ask your permission. That is referring to me, the Speaker, to ask the question. Then you are granted the permission and you proceed to do so. That is the practice. And so I will be holding you people to test. I will hold you. Whether they've gone to hold or they've gone to imprise, so I will hold you. You must go by the rules from now on. I think the honeymoon is over. Yes, so the question has been asked. Minister, you've heard him. You don't need to repeat the question again, unless you want to repeat. Yes, you want to repeat? Please go on.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, just to thank you for the further directions, and I take a cue. And I am most guided, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Yes, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me appreciate the effort of Parliament and other stakeholders. These are among other key steps being taken to fulfill the ministry's mandate and the manifesto promises of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We will also engage this August House, especially the Gender Committee, when constituted, to ensure the effective implementation of the Act through its oversight role. Thank you very much.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
Yes, that is so, Mr. Speaker. Mr.
Yes,
Speaker,
please. Yes.
with your permission, if I can do the follow-ups.
Yes, please.
How soon after your appointment into office will you set up the Gender Equity Committee to oversee the implementation of the Affirmative Action Act, and what resources will you use to ensure the effectiveness of same?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I indicated, the boards are being constituted as we speak. And so, as we have directives and indication from the presidency, we will form the boards, and the equity committee will equally be constituted, and work will commence from there.
Yes, Minister, what is the title of the Act? What is the title of the Act?
It's the Gender Affirmative Action Act, the Equity Act, 2020.
Yes, I want it stated clearly. Was what I see on the order paper.
Mr. Speaker, yes, the order paper did not. It's the Affirmative Action Act, Act 2024. That's the Equity Act. It's the Gender Affirmative Action Act.
I'm sure you have it. I'm sure you have it in your answer. Or you were also misled. It is Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act 2024 Act. Is there? Yes. Please resume your seat. Sit down. Yes.
Speaker,
Minority Chief Whip. Minority
Speaker,
Chief Whip.
the Affirmative Action
Minority
Gender
Chief Whip.
Equity Act.
Minority Chief Whip. Yes.
Speaker, I thank you for recognizing me. Indeed, all of us are fallible. Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act 2024, Act 1121. That's what it is. That is it. That is it. Speaker, go and repeat. Go and repeat it. Go and repeat. Go and repeat that.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I see my minority chief whip is struggling to equalize again. Mr. Speaker, the minister is normally, even when we're in law school, Mr. Speaker, even in examination halls, Mr. Speaker, you didn't have to cite the number of the act. You didn't have to. even in examination halls. Even examination halls. And in any case, she mentioned it.
I did.
She mentioned it. She mentioned it.
You were reading it. I mentioned
She mentioned it. And Mr. Speaker, with great effort, they Googled and saw the number. With great effort, they Googled and saw the number. Oh, you are reading from your phone. We saw you are reading from your phone. You Googled it. I think on a lighter note, Mr. Speaker, I think we can continue.
Honorable members, this is a very, very important act. And I want everybody in Ghana to know the title and its contents. It's so crucial to the development of our nation. And that's why we took time to detail it out. And we are going to hold the government. We will hold the government to make sure that the provisions of this act are fully and totally implemented. Notice to the government, the percentage cannot be lowered. Are you all hearing me? That percentage of 30% cannot be lowered. Please, any supplementary question?
That is so, Mr. Speaker. So, can you outline the specific targets and timelines for the implementation of the Act? And how do you plan to adjust if these are not met?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I indicated that once we have the committee formed, the ministry itself is in the process of working with CSOs and other stakeholders to ensure that the committees work effectively with this House to start the implementation processes. And so in our budget allocation, some resources have been put in there we have a budget line to ensure effective implementation. Aside the government support that is coming, we are also speaking to DPs who are equally interested in seeing to it that the Act is fully implemented. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You have the last opportunity.
I did not get the response on the timelines. So respectfully, if you can indicate that, so we are aligned.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I repeated that some of the implementation processes are based on the formation of the boards and others, which is underway. And on our part, if you want details, we've met with CSOs, and then we are forming some subcommittees to start the implementation processes. We are also waiting on this August House to constitute the gender committee, which plays oversight role. And so when all of these are put in place, definitely you will see more of the actions. Currently, it's more of desk work. And so once we are done, you will see us working.
The supplementary question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary question to the Minister responsible for gender, children, and social protection on the measures and efficient implementation of the Affirmative Action Act 2024, whether what the Speaker said, the current crop of ministers, whether this has been satisfied or implemented, and what would you do as a minister to ensure that the 30% in the Affirmative Action 2024 is achieved? Thank you, Speaker.
I was looking at the ambit of the question. The question was looking for measures the ministry has put in place to ensure the effective and efficient implementation of the Act. The way you phrase your question, I'm not sure it's within the jurisdiction of the ministry, that aspect that you are talking about. So it's very difficult. But if the minister has a response, we will be prepared to listen to her. Are you the minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we are all well aware, the government is in the process of being formed. And so we are watching and looking out. In any case, what has been done so far gives us hope that the 30% or more than 30% target is on course. Currently, we are all appointments that have been made, we are around 23% plus. And so that gives us more hope that with the forthcoming ones, we will meet the target as stated in the affirmative action. Thank you.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister just informed this House that so far appointments made, 23% of same meet that threshold, and that gives hope. Is the Minister aware that in the cabinet of which she is a member, it's only 10% that has been allocated for women thus far? Is she aware?
Yes, prelude to the debate. Prelude to the debate. Yes, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. If the Honorable Minority Leader had listened to me well, he would have heard me say that all appointments that have been made, including cabinet ministers, so all appointments, right, Honorable Speaker? I thank you.
Minority Leader, yes.
Mr. Speaker, this is a House of Records, and the Honorable Minister knows that when she enters the dispatch box, she can only deal with facts. With the greatest respect, the government announced its cabinet, and Mr. President communicated his cabinet to the Speaker. The Speaker read the cabinet to this House. Perhaps I may give you some updates. Of the 19, I heard, and you said if I heard you right. So let me put to you what I heard from what Mr. Speaker read. It is you and Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare who were the only ministers, female, that, respectfully, that I heard as being part of the cabinet. If you calculate, it is 10% and not more. Are you saying that this 10% meets the 30% threshold? Is that what you are saying?
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think you had given some earlier guides. You had indicated that the question should, the follow-up question should fall within the ambit of the main question. So, Speaker, I think the minority leader should be so guided by you. What has the question of the composition of cabinet in terms of gender got to do with this specific question? There's no relationship. There's no relationship. There's no relationship. There's no relationship.
Mr. Speaker, relying on Order 89, and I shall read. As soon as a question is answered, any member beginning with the member who asked the question may, without notice, ask a supplementary question for further clarification of any matter of fact on the answer. But a supplementary question shall not introduce a matter not included in the original question. Yes, relax. Mr. Speaker, would the majority leader be patient and tolerant for this exercise? Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister at the dispatch box told this House that so far the appointment made meets the threshold. Mr. Speaker, appointments are in categories. We have the cabinet of the president. And I am saying that per the communication from the president, this is coming from your own answer, not me. And I am anchoring my supplementary question on your own answer in accordance with Order 89. Mr. Speaker, if the minister says that so far government has complied in terms of appointment made, I am asking her whether she is aware that the cabinet composition has only 2 women, and that 2 is herself and Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare, and that amount to only 10%. You said I didn't hear you right. I heard you. Are you aware that in your own cabinet you are only 2 women out of 19? Are you aware? Mr. Speaker, this is a question that the minister must answer. The majority leader should not attempt to shield the minister. The minister must answer this.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the minority leader should be guided by our standing orders. Order 89(1) that he seeks to rely on says that as soon as a question is answered, any member beginning with the member who asked the question may, without notice, ask a supplementary question for further clarification of any matter of fact or on the answer. But a supplementary question, listen. But a supplementary question shall not introduce a matter not included in the original question. It is the original question. The original question is the yardstick, not the answer. The original question, the question is the yardstick for further questions. Otherwise, you have to give the minister time to go, and then you ask a proper question, they'll come back. So please, Mr. Speaker, the question he's asking doesn't arise from the original question. That's my point. I'm saying that even asking based on the answer is not the case. The rule is very clear that the yardstick is whether or not your further question falls within the original question. The original question. It didn't say the answer. It didn't say the answer, the original question.
I think it's proper we move into the debate. use this as the prelude to the debate. Yes, minority.
Mr. Speaker, I am ever ready to go on that jurisprudence part with the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, if he wants us to deal with the question, then let's read the question. The question reads, to ask the Minister for Gender and Children and Social Protection, what measures the ministry has put in place to ensure the effective and efficient implementation of the Affirmative Action Act 2024. Mr. Speaker, the minister is in office. Government is being formed. Her duty in ensuring implementation is what the questioner wants to know. In the process of assuring this House that measures are being put in place, she then added that appointments made so far have all complied. And Mr. Speaker, I am asking her, emanating from her own answer and anchoring it also on the question, which is not new, to demand of her whether or not she is aware that the President of the Republic, fully aware of this act, based upon which he appointed you as a minister, and you are assuring this House that so far they've complied. Are you aware that in his own cabinet, of which you are a member, only 2 of you out of 19 have been announced as cabinet ministers? We have Minister for Fisheries. She did not make it to cabinet to make it 30%, only 10%. And the majority leader is preventing you from answering when it's a matter of public record. Mr. Speaker, the minister must answer this question. So you should tell us that your government has failed in putting in place measures to meet this 30% threshold. You should let us know. Your government has failed. Mr. Speaker, the government has thus failed in meeting this threshold. So answer. It's a question, it's not out of order, it's within the remit of Order 89. You will answer. Mr. Speaker, please get her to answer this question.
Yes, Honorable Suhini.
Thank you very much. Right, Honorable Speaker, I just want to draw the majority leader's attention to the minority leader's attention to Order 81-2, which says that a question shall be restricted to matters for which the minister, the member or the head of independent constitutional body is responsible, or which affect the general policy of the ministry or independent constitutional body. Mr. Speaker, in this case, she's not responsible for appointing people to cabinet. Again, Mr. Speaker, the answer the minority leader is seeking to find out, like he himself has correctly stated, is a matter of public record. And we are also told in this House that you don't ask questions of ministers on matters that are already known to this House. And for that matter, a matter of public record. Mr. Speaker, the minority leader is only concerned about making a statement and restating, I'm sure for the public gallery, that cabinet appointment is short of meeting 30%. That's all he seems to be interested in. Mr. Speaker, in that case, I'll suggest to him to do a statement that I'm sure you'll be kind enough to admit, so that he can make that statement on the floor and not pass it through a question. Because clearly what he's doing is not questioning the minister. It is just making a statement for the media and for the public to take note of the fact that, oh, there are only 2 women that have been appointed. Thank you.
You want us to continue? I thought we should move to... Wait, sorry?
Respect. Mr. Speaker, with respect, the minister has made a statement on this House floor which contradicts public record. Mr. Speaker, the minister cannot escape this. In all humility, she told us that all appointments made have met the 30% threshold. That is what she said. Mr. Speaker, that is what she said. She says that, Mr. Speaker, they have met that threshold. Mr. Speaker, let the minister answer the question. Because all this protection, I don't see why all of them are preventing the minister from answering. She should answer the question. If the question is out of order, that should go into the record, and I will submit. Mr. Speaker, I've asked the question. If you think that the question does not meet the requirement of Order 89, rule me out of order and let the records take note of it, and then we all be guided by posterity. But as far as I'm concerned, the question has been asked, the minister would have to answer, no matter the protection from the majority leader and my respected friend Suhini, who is trying to go under the 81 to create his own issue. I don't mind, but the question must be answered.
Well, from the basis of your further supplementary question, I think you got it wrong, because the minister clearly stated that so far the percentage of appointment is 23. She stated in the answer, but she did not say anything about 30%. I just listened to you. I'm trying to correct the error you've made as the basis for your further supplementary question. Because you stated that she said that the appointments have met the 30% threshold. And I'm saying she didn't say so. She said 23%, not 30%. So, please, may we proceed to the debate, because I know it's an issue that is dear to members, and that you raise it again. I am very, very clear in my mind, and my passion for this bill is beyond measure. And so I will support any person who wants to see the total implementation of the provisions of the bill. I will do that. So let's proceed to the debate. Yes, Deputy Minority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, I still have 3 more supplementary questions. I still have 3 more supplementary.
Well, please, can you read the standing orders?
Mr. Speaker, I'm guided by Standing Order 89.3. And with
Yes.
your permission, I read the 3.
Yes.
Any other member may be allowed to ask not more than 2 supplementary questions, except that the majority and minority leader or co-leaders may each ask not more than 5 supplementary
So
questions.
where do you come? Are
Mr.
you
Speaker,
a leader or co-leader?
Mr. Speaker, it is Mr. Speaker, the interpretation, Mr. Speaker, the interpretation, Mr. Speaker, the interpretation on the standing orders, but with my understanding, the minority leader and the majority leader is mentioned. And then when you move further to say, or the co-leaders, you can guide me, Mr. Speaker, but my understanding is that.
Honourable member, what is the interpretation of co-leader in the standing orders? Is there the interpretation of co-leader is there in the standing orders? What does it say?
Mr. Speaker, even though I'm guided as leadership mentioned in the standing orders, my understanding with the Order 89.3 has been loaded on our screen. If you mention the majority leader and the minority leader, my understanding is that the co-leaders are the other leaders. But if it is not the case, if it is not the case, Mr. Speaker, if it is not the case, I am guided. If it is not the case, I am guided. But I know that Mr. Speaker can always create room Mr. Speaker can always create room to accommodate us and allow us to ask questions.
Kindly read Order 6. The definition is very clear there, Order 6. Please, may we move on to another item. Honorable Minister, we thank you for attending to our call. We are extremely grateful and you are discharged. Let's move on to another item. I have a request from the First Deputy Speaker to move the motion on to lay the report of his committee. I think it's item 10C. Item 10C. That is at the commencement of public business. Item 10C. Presentation of papers by the chairman of the Appointments Committee. Sorry, Minority Leader, yes.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, unless the majority would insist that they will do this without our input. We are just discussing this matter. They've just made the draft report, the report available to my deputy whip. I'm in communication with the minority, deputy minority leader. Deputy majority leader, Deputy majority leader, Mr. Speaker. I want us to discuss it so that we'll do this tomorrow. I am not aware of this, but if there's a new precedent that they want to do it, then I've made my point.
Yes, Chairman of the committee, what is the position?
Right, Honorable Speaker, at the committee sitting, we have agreed, we went through the 12 reports. Honorable Speaker, what is outstanding is the 13th report, which has not been concluded. But we are talking about the 12th report that we all sat at the meeting room, we've gone through it, and we have approved it, and it is to be taken by consensus. So the majority leader and the ranking member of the committee should be informed that we are talking about the 12th report that the committee has agreed upon, but not the 13th report.
Yes, Minority Leader.
And we don't need to be making certain pronouncements for records. I am aware that this is a 12 report, and I'm not acting in bad faith. I am in discussion with the leader and his deputy. Please.
Well,
yes, Mr. Speaker, the understanding is that we would have a discussion because this very report, he presided. The first the deputy majority leader was the one who presided when he was out of the jurisdiction. And he's just reached out to me and I said, look, no problem, let's discuss. And then we can be late and then rely on order 104 and then even move it the same day. Once we resolve the matters, there's no problem. So why would we be breaking shoulders over this matter? As if I'm preventing you. If it's your pleasure to have your way, so be it. But that's not the understanding we've had in this house. The practice is that we all engage. Sometimes don't create the impression for public records as though somebody is difficult. I always act in good faith.
I don't see much problem in this. Chairman, yes, a minute. I think what the chairman conveyed to the House is that you've already agreed on the report. Now, if after the agreement, the two of you have identified something that you need to consult, that should have been made known, and then you go. Yeah, but the chairman is not aware. Well, but he is the one presenting the report. That's his report. Even though it comes from the committee, as at now, that is a report that he has to present. So he is not aware. And that's why he's emphasizing that you agreed. Now, you have identified something that there's a need for further discussion. You should have made that in your submission so that we can give you more time to discuss. Because once it's consensus, we should go on that tangent. Yeah, so Majority Leader, I think we should allow the deputy Majority Leader who chaired the committee meeting during the discussion of this matter to engage him, and whatever differences they identified, they discuss with the chairman of the committee. Then we can present the report and move on. Please. It's not by majority, it's consensus. So don't let us break that rule. Let's go on. Then we'll go straight to the debate. Please do your consultation and let us know the outcome today. Let's go straight to the debate. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, with respect, there is a pending motion. My understanding from the minority chief whip who was at conclave was to the effect that the motion can only be taken today with you presiding. And according to him, the first deputy speaker communicated that to him at conclave, that your indication is that you would want to preside over that motion yourself. So, Speaker, I reached out to the clerk at table on this matter because I cannot see it on the other paper. He tells me that, yes, he has the transmission in his office. He's yet to get us the supplementary, the other paper addendum. Mr. Speaker, I remember that the indication was that we can have this done today when we wanted to take it before SONA. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether the other paper addendum is on its way. And I do not want ambiguities and equivocations on said matters. If the clarity is already provided, let's go by it. The understanding was that we would take this motion, get done with it before we proceed with the debate on SONA. That was the understanding I had. But, Mr. Speaker, if this new practice of changing of positions, I am gradually getting used to it. This practice of today we say something, the next moment something changes on one's blind side, I'm getting used to it gradually.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I recall the discussions regarding the motion that he has mentioned. But the discussion was that the motion may be taken today, Tuesday. But the order was not indicated. It wasn't indicated that it will be taken before the motion on SONA. The indication was that it could be taken today, Tuesday, after the SONA. Yes, you wanted it before the SONA, and I was there, and there was some discussion, and you were, urged upon to put it after the SONA, and you agreed. Yeah, you agreed. Nobody is saying that there was no such understanding, and today was proposed, but it wasn't said definitely that it will come before the motion on the SONA. That was the point. There was no clear commitment that it would be before the motion. So we can move the motion on SONA, and then if by the time we finish, the addendum is here, we can also move that motion. In any case, you can even...
I presided over the discussion. I ruled that the motion will be taken today. It's half-hour motion that was proposed. That was what was proposed. And based on my advice, we decided that it should be a substantive motion, not half-hour. Because half-hour will be too short for such a motion to be properly deliberated upon. So we agreed to make it a substantive motion. The proposers of the motion led by the minority leader insisted that it should be taken before the motion for the SONA. But at the end of the day, my ruling was that it should be taken today. The order I did not state. I did not state because the order paper gives the order of business for the day. Unless a member gets up to call on the speaker to vary the order of business. So I did state clearly that please ensure that it be programmed and to be taken today. That one, I'm very clear about that. The majority leader was not happy about it being taken today. That one's very clear at the meeting, but I insisted that it should be taken today. That is what happened. This was in my office. Minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, if you may recall, the conclusion of the discussion led to hear the majority leader even insisting that once we are done with the motion, no reference should be made in the debate of SONA. Mr. Speaker, that is what he said. And Mr. Speaker, when he said that, you said indeed it cannot, once the matter is closed and referral made, no further reference can be made in the SONA debate proper. Mr. Speaker, if we agree that we are closing it, then how can we then say that we didn't agree on the order? Mr. Speaker, it's already 3 p.m.
You don't debate the speaker.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, I'm not doing that. You called me.
That is what you are doing now. And what you just referred to was the time we're discussing the half-hour motion. That was when these matters came up. But when we finally agreed that half-hour was not sufficient, it should be a substantive motion, that part did not come in again. I'm very clear in my mind about these things because I swore an oath and I'm bound by it. So when I'm discussing things with you people, I just don't take them for granted. I want to follow strictly according to what we agreed upon. And that is what I'm doing. I advise you that 30 minutes duration was too short for the subject matter that you have proposed. It will be enough space for members to air their views. And finally, you were convinced and agreed we should do it substantive motion. And I directed that yes, be programmed for today. So these are not things that. Have you read the text on filibuster? Have you read? No, he knows about filibuster.
Mr. Speaker, with respect. Mr. Speaker, with respect. When you ask me a question and I'm answering, then you come in with, are you debating the Speaker? Mr. Speaker, there was a discussion. The majority leader had an opportunity to say his side of the story. And I'm also making my point. Then you come in, then the next moment is filibustering.
Minority leader, when you respond this way, it's not fair. It's when I stated I ruled. And so when I state my ruling, and you get up and you are raising the same issue again, you are debating me. The ruling is clear, and I stated the ruling, and that ends it. You can disagree with it, and you know what the standing order says you can do. You come by a substantive motion. Please. You are not part of Gen Z. Please, honorable members, let's move on to the order paper, and we'll take item number 11. Item number 11, commencement of the debate, and the motion is to be moved by the honorable member for Cape Coast South, Mr. George K. Ricketts Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the motion item number 11 on page 4 of the order paper, that this Honorable House thanks His Excellency the President for the message on the state of the nation which he delivered to Parliament on Thursday, the 27th of February 2025. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I would like to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President again for fulfilling his constitutional duty based on Article 67 to basically tell the country the state of our nation. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a few comments, but to start with a comment, I would like to quote from what His Excellency the President said on page 4, the last paragraph of his message. Mr. Speaker, and with your indulgence, I read, I am sad to report that the state of our nation is not good. Our country is in crisis, and our people are suffering unprecedented hardships. Mr. Speaker, this is emphatic.
Honorable member, the last sentence. What did you say? Our
people are suffering unprecedented hardships.
The sentence. I'm not talking about half of the sentence.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I don't follow.
The sentence.
Oh, the whole
Where
sentence.
you started is not the full sentence.
Oh, okay, Mr. Speaker. Yes, I'm directed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I quote, says, Mr. Speaker, as I stated earlier, Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution requires that I give an account of the state of the nation to Parliament. I am sad to report that the state of our nation is not good. Our economy is in crisis, and our people are suffering unprecedented hardships. unquote.
Yes, your first reading was not our economy, it was our country. So what I have is different. That's why I asked you to read it again.
Okay.
And
Thank
so
you.
now it is our economy, not our country.
Our economy.
Yes, please.
That's what it is. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a few comments on this profound statement that His Excellency the President made and how we got to where we are. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President has only been in office for, I believe, 2 months. We all knew that the economy was not in good shape. We knew we had challenges. But upon resuming office, he had seen more, that the position is actually worse than we thought. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that a lot of the flagship policies or programs of the previous government had actually failed, except one. Mr. Speaker, and I will start with a free senior high school. Mr. Speaker, in Article 25 of the Constitution, it is clear that if it is possible for the country to actually afford a free education, then the country must do so progressively. When the previous government was in power, they decided that they were actually going to go ahead and do the free education without actually making any proper provision in terms of a budget to cover this. Mr. Speaker, as a result of that, we have been successful at implementing the free education, but we have not been adequately successful in funding it. Mr. Speaker, when you come to another flagship program, which is the 1D, 1F, Mr. Speaker, it is clear, looking back in the last 8 years, when this policy was implemented, we have not actually have a lot of benefit out of it. And it is part of the hardship that we face today. Mr. Speaker, we were told that about 196 or so companies were successful on this program. Yet, there is nothing much to show as to what these companies are actually doing that is having an economic impact on Ghana's economy. But what we do know is that rather than contributing to the economy is actually, or the country is actually paying to them taxes, basically what they call the tax exemption, which means that this is money that the country will actually not get. Mr. Speaker, at some stage, we were discussing about $300 million US. Later on, it was revised down to $100 million. But it was clear to us that it was money that was needed to fund the elections. And unfortunately, or fortunately for us, that did not happen. Mr. Speaker, so basically, this 1D, 1F, which is supposed to provide us jobs, are actually not providing these jobs. And it's as a result of that we are having the hardship that His Excellency John Mahama was talking about. Now I take another program, which is 1D, 1W.
Honourable Member, the First Deputy Speaker to take the chair. Could you?
I'm talking about your failure.
Honourable Member, continue.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, the other flagship program that has contributed to the difficulties that we have in this country is to do with the planting for food and jobs. Mr. Speaker, this program did not provide enough food, that did not make this country food security, and did not create the jobs that should be associated with this. Mr. Speaker, the more planting for food and jobs that we did, the less food we produce and the less jobs we created. It makes you wonder what the previous government was planting, that we did not get the food and did not get the jobs. Mr. Speaker, in terms of unemployment, as His Excellency said, the current hardships that we are facing as a result of a number of our people not having jobs to do, unemployment basically has moved from 8% to around 14%. So it clearly tells you that all these flagship programs that were supposed to create jobs did not actually create them. So the policies were actually a failure, to say the least. Mr. Speaker, another thing that has created the kind of hardships and the crisis this country and the economy is in is to do with a high level of inflation. Mr. Speaker, the inflation that we have in this country today, the bulk of it has been a food inflation. For the last 8 years, all the inflation that we have experienced in the last 8 years, the bulk of it is actually food inflation. Mr. Speaker, we have failed in managing our currency, and we have created unprecedented depreciation of Ghana's currency. It's been the worst currency for many years. It is still the worst currency. It is interesting. When a government or a party that left power about 2 months ago wants the current government that has been in power for 2 months to fix the mess they created for the last 8 years, I will ask them to exercise patience. Their mess will be cleaned up, but it will take a while. So they should not be in rush to ask the current government to clean up the mess. Mr. Speaker, it is actually surprising that with all the problems they created and the amount of debt that we have on our books that resulted in us going to the IMF, even the debt restructuring that we were supposed to do was a mess. We couldn't restructure the domestic debt exchange properly. We couldn't do the external one properly. In fact, we used 137 billion, or we were to use 137 billion to do this domestic debt. And the threshold was to achieve 80%. We could have done so without involving the pension fund. The pension funds were only about 26%. And you still would have gotten your 80% threshold just by taking 80% of 137 billion. But they were flip-flopping. Hardship is what Mahama said. And the cause of that hardship is what I'm telling you. Hardship. What has brought us where we are? The suffering that we are in today was as a result of the incompetent management of the economy for the last 8 years. The poor management of the economy is what has brought us here. The reckless expenditure, the frivolous ones, is what has brought us here today. And that is what His Excellency President Mahama was talking about. Mr. Speaker, they went ahead to do the external debt exchange. They made a mess there. Mr. Speaker, and for a very long time, they could not complete that deal. Part of it was deliberate by the government because they knew what will happen. That if they complete that exchange program, external debt exchange program, the cedi will have further depreciated because they will have to start paying the monies that they haven't paid since 2022. This country was not paying its debt from 2022. We never paid a single debt of our external debt until the 3rd of January, when His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo came to read his last sona, when he told us 346 million was going to be paid. Until then, they have paid nothing, and our debt was just ballooning. Why wouldn't Ghanaians feel hardship? Why wouldn't people feel in their pocket that things are not working for them? Mr. Speaker, the hardship the president is talking about is the IMF program that was negotiated by the previous government. Mr. Speaker, they have already finished the money. 2/3 of the money had already been taken. 2 billion out of the 3 billion had been spent, and nobody knows what that money has even been used for. The last payment you got, you always talk about smart borrowing. I don't know whether there's also a smart payment. Because you said you had borrowed smartly. IMF gave you over $300 million. Your last money that you took from the IMF, what did you do with it? You took it to go and pay debt. So that is smart payment, according to you. And that money did not benefit the economy the way it should. That is why we have the kind of hardship that we have in this country today. Again, because of your poor management of the economy. You always talk about having managed the economy better than this, and better than that. But yet, simple things that you could have done, you couldn't do them. Today, you talk about having negotiated debt so well. I didn't know negotiating debt was actually an achievement. The mess you have created, you have negotiated it so well that Ghana is not going to pay anything until 2026. Now, the question I ask you is that 2026, are you the ones going to pay that debt? Or you negotiated it for us for 2026? You were taking Euro bonds that should mature in 2060. The managers of the economy knew they wouldn't be around to be part of that payment. And these are all debt saddled with us that we will have to pay going forward. And this country is not going to get out of the situation we are in for a very long time. Long after even His Excellency John Mahama is gone, there will be more debt that you have created. You took our debt from 120 billion to nearly 800 billion. How did you do that? In 8 years, you took our debt from 120 to nearly 800 billion. And you are saying we should clap for you because you have borrowed and put this country in the difficulty that we are in. President Mahama has promised that he will clean the mess. And we pray that such a government, under such a president, never rules Ghana again. In fact, there should be a library for all presidents. We should move a private member bill for a library to be created for all presidents, so that the president, like Nana Akufo-Addo, there will be records of how not to be a bad president. Mr. Speaker, the problem that has been created in this country, we have just scratched the surface. And when I hear that when are you going to do? You said you're going to give money to, you're going to increase the money for cocoa farmers. Why don't you do it now? You are going to do this. Go and find the money. You close all avenues of getting money to fund your budget. We have, for the first time in this country, under your government, we have been declared a junk status. It has never happened in Ghana's history. Never happened in Ghana's history, where rating agencies, Fitch, Moody, Standard & Poor, all declaring Ghana a junk status. Is that the good performance of the economy that you are talking about? Is that the good managers of the economy that we are talking about? Now, creating a junk economy makes you a good economic manager. Then somebody said before, then their kids could manage Ghana's economy. Mr. Speaker, we are in a very difficult situation. Mr. Speaker, we still owe the Chinese about 3 billion, which we have not paid. Mr. Speaker, we owe the Paris Club 3.8 billion, which we have not paid. Mr. Speaker, we owe the non-Paris Club another 3.8 billion, which we have not paid. Mr. Speaker, even the IMF and the World Bank we have borrowed money from, we owe them 8.8 billion, which we have not paid. The 13 billion euro bond, which at the 11th hour, the president came here in the State of the Nation address to tell us that they are paying 346 million, is what we have paid out of the 13 billion that we owe the euro bond. You have structured a deal with our creditors to an extent that every year going forward, we will be paying $1 billion every year. That's what you saddled President Mahama with. That's what you saddled the NDC government with. Yet, you have found your voices again, just in less than 2 months. You have wrecked this economy. In 2 months, you found your voices again, and you are criticizing a 2-month-old government that is to solve an 8-year-old mess. This is unbelievable. You have been a reckless government. You have run this country down totally. And you found your voices all of a sudden. It's not even 6 months. You are talking again. You are talking about taxes again. Yet you've only been away for 2 months. Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, conclude.
This is a serious situation that we are in. And at the moment, we cannot actually go to the capital market. And we shouldn't. When we were in government and we were taking, the first Euro bond was taken by President Kufuor, 750 million. Subsequently, 1 billion was taken by the NDC government. I think 3 different tranches. Now, what did you do? You came into office and you started with 3 billion euro bond. What NDC government would have taken in 3 years? Have you forgotten that President Kufuor 750 was paid by the NDC government by putting money in a sink fund to do that? You have saddled this country with money. And I will beg you not to be talking about debt. It was rich from President Nana Akufo-Addo on his State of the Nation, the last one. Quite laughable that we should make sure we don't default. Guy the president who has presided over borrowing, who has unilaterally decided not to pay its debt from 2022, who was not paying any interest, never paid any, was telling President Mahama that he should not default. You have found your voices early, and you have to take your time, because you will be in opposition. Ghanaians have not forgotten. You will be in opposition for a very long time. Because what you have done, Ghanaians will not forget you so soon. It doesn't matter how much noise you make. It doesn't matter what you call yourself, a mighty minority.
Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, you have 1 more minute.
Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I move that this August House adopt, thanks the President for the State of the Nation address. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Honorable members, the motion to thank His Excellency, the President, on the State of the Nation has been moved. Any seconder?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I hope my honorable friend he remembered the song Koku Frimpong or the Asembeba. I hope you remember that song very well. We had a very beautiful morning, and Koku Frimpong has decided to bring trouble into this house. So you listen. Koku Cricket. Ricket there. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my friend from Cape Coast South constituency. I said Koku Ricket. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dominic Nittywood. The name is George Kweku Ricket Hagan.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the correction, but nothing takes away from the fact that he should remember the song Koku Frimpong or the Asembaba. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, I am very shocked about the supposed harsh words that he is attempting to place on the last 8 years on the managers of the economy and the country as a whole. If these words that he has spoken are that harsh, and he believes that this is a true judgment, I want to give him just about 4 or 5 or even 6 items for you to compare. If you describe the 2017 to 2024 this harshly, what would you describe 2009 to 2016 economy? Because, Mr. Speaker, the MPP record of economic growth under Akufo-Addo is higher than what we came to meet under Mahama. Mr. Speaker, the record of per capita income is higher than what we came to meet. Mr. Speaker, the record of agricultural growth is higher than what we came to meet. Mr. Speaker, the record of industrial growth under MPP Akufo-Addo is higher than what you came to meet. Mr. Speaker, the record of job creation is higher than what you came to meet. It's higher, ours is higher than what we met. Mr. Speaker, the record of fiscal deficit is higher than yours. The record on primary balance, and my sister will expatiate, is higher than yours. The record on trade balance is higher than yours. In fact, the record on current account balance is higher than yours. Mr. Speaker, the record of gross international reserves are higher than yours. Mr. Speaker, the MPC record of cumulative exchange rate depreciation is higher than yours. So, Mr. Speaker,
when he describes this economy on the terms he has described, what would you describe the John Mahama economy? It's worse than Chaskele. If what you are describing that is so bad, and all the major indicators of the economy is higher than what we came to me, what we described John Mahama. In spite of that, he has become president again. And you think this side we cannot rule? When we compare the indicators, you don't compare. But Mr. Speaker, I read from the president when he says, I have not come here to lament the state of our country. Though there's much to lament, I understand why I was elected with such high voter confidence to solve their problems. That's what the president said, that it is not his style to lament and to shift blame. But unfortunately, 80% of the speech was to lament and to speak blame. But Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, I have a message from the ordinary man on the street. The ordinary man on the street says that, Mr. President Mahama, please note that complaining and campaigning is over. We are in solution time now. Ghana finished reading the Book of Lamentations on the 7th of December, 2024, by voting for you to solve the country's problems. We did not vote for you to come and complain. Kindly focus on implementing all the solutions you promised in your manifesto. You cannot shift our minds from this. We are fed up with the complaints. You made us believe you can solve Ghana's problems, and we voted for you. Your complaints are too much. If you cannot use the power we have given you to solve the problems you complain about, let us know, Mr. President. Mr. President, so Mr. Speaker, to start with, we inherited an economy that was in decline. Check the growth rate of that economy. The banking sector was in distress. Then unquestionable power sector contracts were signed, suddenly as with a debt of over $1.5 billion at that time. 19 of them. We had turbulence in the global economy. Everybody knows. He knows. He's an economist and he knows. But still, under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in 8 years, we created 2.3 million jobs from 2017. Mr. Speaker, we initiated and oversaw the construction and rehabilitation of more railway than any other government in our history. Mr. Speaker, we constructed more public libraries than any other government since 1992. Mr. Speaker, we constructed more fishing landing sites than any other government since 1992. Mr. Speaker, we constructed 2 major fishing harbors in Elimina and Jamestown. Mr. Speaker, we constructed more sanitation facilities than any other government since 1992. Mr. Speaker, we constructed more sporting facilities than any other government since 1992. Mr. Speaker, we resourced the Ghana Armed Forces, we resourced the Ghana Police, and increased the capacity than any other government since 1992. Mr. Speaker, we abolished your wicked and inhuman 3 months arrears policy for teachers and cleared all those arrears. Mr. Speaker, We restored the teaching and nursing training allowance that were cancelled under President Mahama. Mr. Speaker, we introduced free education for all children. We never asked for category A schools, neither do we ask for category B schools. My little brother from a village and Nyama, a small village, is now in Infants and Peep Secondary School. They don't pay anything. Mr. Speaker, we increased livelihood empowerment against poverty, called LEAP program, from 49 million Ghana cedi under Mahama in 2016 to 423 million Ghana cedi in 2023. 49 million to 423 million. That is the record you are inheriting. That is what you've been measured against. That is the economy you are describing as bad and wasteful. So, Speaker, we increased expenditure on the National Health Insurance Scheme from 1.1 billion in 2016 to 6.8 billion in 2024. Mr. Speaker, we introduced the largest medical drone service in the world, so efficiently done. Do you want me to remind you that I saved the life of your chairman? Today, you describe this economy as bad. Measure up to it. Mr. Speaker, we doubled the number of student loan repayments from 30,000 on average per year before its introduction to 58,000 as we stand today. Mr. Speaker, we registered over 18 million people for the Ghana card, a project you blatantly refused and felt it was not important. Today, all tax identification, SNIT, driver licenses, public payroll, criminal records, SIM cards are all interlinked to make your life easy. Mr. Speaker, we substantially increased and augmented the strength of all security services across, from the armed forces to the police service, to Ghana Immigration Service, to the prison service, to the fire service, to NADMO, to ambulance service, all of them. We increased their numbers and resourced them. That is what you are meeting. That is why we confidently say that you inherited a very peaceful country, second only in Africa. That is what you inherited. Mr. Speaker, we made investments in all the security services across the whole country. We introduced, through the Zongo Development Fund, and constructed infrastructure across all Zongo communities, including yours. We paid the outstanding pension funds contributions of the public sector workers we inherited. We established 5 greenhouses at the Winya to enhance vegetable cultivation. We passed the Right to Information Act. Yes, and implemented it. We passed the Affirmative Action Act, which you just referred today. Mr. Speaker, we completed and commissioned phase 2 and 3 of the Prempeh, the first international airport in Kumasi project, involving the construction of a new terminal building capable of handling 1 million passengers yearly, including the car park, apron, and all access roads. Phase 1 of the Sunyani Airport rehabilitation and upgraded and commissioned the Yakubu Tali International Airport in Tamale. But Mr. Speaker, I'll come to address what the honorable member said. But I just want to quote the chairman of the NDC. In 2017, when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came to this house, and I quote, "Whatever it is, I am not interested in arguing about the statistics of otherwise of statistics. I am not interested in arguing about the correctness or otherwise of statistics. The bottom line is that whatever terms you describe the economy today, you were fully aware of its state before making your promises. So I will not use the statistics to form the basis of justifying. And so I hope he, in this case President Mahama, will not use the statistics to form the basis of justifying when or why he will not be able to implement the promises you promised. We are going to hold you responsible." That is the chairman of the NDC. But Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, 3 things before I sit. First, to the Education Minister, that the GS Director General is overstepping his bounds.
Honourable Member, your time is up. I then proceed to give the floor to Honourable
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Isaac Adongo. Honourable Isaac Adongo, the time is 15 minutes past 3. You have 15 minutes. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute to the debate to thank His Excellency the President for delivering a very inspiring message of the nation to Parliament. Of course, my colleague has said it. It's obvious that Kweku Frimpong the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, it is only under this government that when Bawumia digitalizes in Samanfo, Eji Kronupa, you digitalize to bring forth ghosts at national service. That is what your digitalization is about. Mr. Speaker, Bawumia Bako in Samanfo Bebre. Mr. Speaker, to it, one Bawumia 1,000 ghosts. Mr. Speaker, we live in a country where after 8 years, some people cannot show us a completed, functioning hospital. All they have are uncompleted projects and at various stages of completion. We have been hearing various stages of completions till 2017. When are you going to complete them? Of course, Bawumia Bako uncompleted projects be bring. But Mr. Speaker, when you leave an economy that is struggling to pay its debts, you want us to invite you to a banquet? An economy where your debt strategy was to borrow recklessly, default in payment, and declare bankruptcy. Do you want the president to come smiling when he's delivering this gloomy picture that you have given him? If that amounts to lamentation, then so be it, because you left him an economy that can only be lamented upon. But Mr. Speaker, when you have an economy where ab initio from day one, everywhere you turn are debt. You take an economy which already has been restructured, and you need to find 280 billion Ghana cedis from day one. Of course, you can only lament. You cannot be praising and be singing tunes. But Mr. Speaker, when you inherit an economy where every week, you have to borrow and pay a debt of 6.5 billion a week, certainly that is not the type of economy you expect the president to come and be clapping hands for. But, Mr. Speaker, when you inherit an economy where ECG, after all the tariff increases where people buy even credit, and they get home and they are afraid to slot their card, because immediately you put the card in the current rate, you want the president to come here and clap for you for that type of economy. And on top of that, you are still owing me for His Excellency. If His Excellency appears at a time when Cocoa Board is owing 3.25 billion, 32.5 billion, and already has commitments of about 21 billion, cumulatively 55 billion is what you left for him. This is not a tea-making party. And you want him to come here and be clapping for you. And when he tells the people of Ghana, this is the economy you have left, you said that is lamentation. Mr. Speaker, Baomia Bako, baby. If you pass through ECG, there is debt. Cocoa Board, debt. Government of Ghana, the Treasury in the Ministry of Finance. In fact, I think Atufosi may have to convert that ministry into a debt-paying ministry. Because every day, whether he has job to do or not, every Thursday, he must go to the Bank of Ghana and auction to be able to raise money to refinance your mess. And you are here holding press conferences for creating the mess that he's trying to clean for you. I heard my good friend at the back that was saying that it is scary. You have given us a caricature of an economy. What to fear in our economy is the type of picture you have created for us. And when His Excellency says that, you say that is lamentation. Mr. Speaker, they gave us a lamentable economy, and that is the only state of the nation that His Excellency can speak to. But Mr. Speaker, when you have a group of people who have been so reckless to the point of finding it difficult to understand, and when you decide to put a stop to their recklessness, they call you a terminator. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately for them, the man who inherited their mess is a ruthless terminator. Mr. Speaker, John Mahama is a terminator of ghosts at NSA. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency John Mahama came to terminate your mess just here, the 58 million hole that you left for him. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency came to terminate corruption. He came to terminate the waste in the economy. He came to terminate the rental of private jets that you were so accustomed to. Mr. Speaker, we have a president who terminated all the wrongs that had occasioned the management of our economy. The destruction and collapse of our banks have been terminated by His Excellency. You should be praising him for terminating the messy economy that you left for him. And we are now on the path to a proper growth that is inclusive and that will create jobs for our people. And you should be praising His Excellency for that foresight. Mr. Speaker, we have a country where our colleagues, they borrow to the extent that every corner where they were giving Susu loans, they were there. Susu loans, they were interested. In fact, Kojo Pokroma, I remember you were the information minister when you were trying to educate me on what is called Samurai bond, Panda bond, Century bond. Mr. Speaker, these are the people. They were experts in bonds. When you ask Kojo, he said, oh, this is Samurai bond, it is in Japan. They knew every corner where they were giving loans. Panda bond. Kojo, are they still giving the panda bonds? They said something was called Century. Mr. Speaker, there was actually a bond called Century bond. Century bond. Mr. Speaker, Baomia Bako bonds bedre. But what is even painful is that they don't pay. Theirs is Takashi debt management record. Borrow recklessly, default in payment, issue to whom it may concern, and declare bankruptcy. And the descendants of this type of government are here holding press conferences. I have seen my leader is here. You should lead your team to a Futu to find a river where they will wash off their sins before they come back here. There was a musician who said, Muma Misaponi Semina Naminjam who feel with them. They are the people there. A Futu, I'm sure you have a seat there. Take them there and go and wash your sins. Because what you did is not acceptable anywhere in the world. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is the savior of our economy. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has brought the good news. The 24-hour economy is coming. Mr. Speaker, agric mechanization centers are coming to create proper agriculture production for our economy. Mr. Speaker, women are jubilating because we are bringing the Women's Development Bank to provide tailored credit to our women. Mr. Speaker, our Zongo women are waiting for the Soyoya Fund to provide credit to our women in the Zongo community. We are not going to set up a Zongo Development Fund or a Zongo Development Ministry, but will have better impact in the Zongo communities than you have been able to think about. Mr. Speaker, our youth are unemployed, and we are very clear what we want to do. We are in a generation of technology, and we want to bring the 1 million coders program, where our children are going to be taught to develop a career in ICT. The artificial intelligence that is passing us by will be arresting them and bringing it to our youth here. Machine learning will be part of our work, and data coding will be one of our things that we'll be doing in our country. Don't forget that we built the data center. We built the digital center, and we are going to do business process outsourcing to recruit over 1,000 of our youth into ICT, in addition to the coding program. Mr. Speaker, for your information, today, your Minister for Transport is in Rwanda, learning best practices to come and formalize Okada transport to help you manage your traffic. That is the government that we are working on. And you need to understand that your mess, it is because of Okada, Ghanaians showed you the way and gave you a deficit of 1.7 million votes. You have still not learned your lessons. But Mr. Speaker, there is only one group of people who are capable of turning this country around. We are the descendants of His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings. We are the only group of people who has managed the most difficult economic era in the history of our country. In 1983, when Ghanaians arrived here from Nigeria and we couldn't even find food to eat, the descendants of the NDC, Jerry John Rawlings, fixed the mess and will turn this country around. And we will do just that now. And we will make sure by the time His Excellency John Dramani Mahama leaves office, it will be very clear to you that it is not how long you stay in power, but it's the impact you make once you're in power. And that he will do what you couldn't do in 8 years, he will do it in 4 years and even more. And that is what we are focused on delivering to the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, we are beginning to build the next generation of leaders for our country. Just look around the ministers we have appointed. You can see our focus on youth and our focus on women. And the aim is to build the next generation of leaders, not just for the NDC, but for our country. And that if you are a young man and you want to aspire for the future, the best place to come is the NDC, because NDC gives opportunities to the youth. It is only in NDC that people like Sami Jeffrey will be given very huge appointments. It is only in NDC that Basentale will be leading the youth of our country. It is only in NDC that Opariado would be a minister, a cabinet minister. Mr. Speaker, a minister is the cabinet, the cabinet now, sorry, a minister. The important thing is that when you were in government, Kojo was about the youngest man in your government. Kojo, come to this side, because we will give you more opportunities as the National Democratic Congress. Mr. Speaker, at this point in time, it is safe to say that when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama appeared in this house, a new dawn had fallen on our country. We had moved away from the kind of economic management that was based on sloganeering. Sloganeering. We will digitalize. Today, can you show me your digital blueprint after 8 years? Where is your digital blueprint? Your digitalization was in the head of one man roaming around. What if a car crashes his head? That is the kind of digitalization you were running. Mr. Speaker, we were in a country where, Mr. Speaker, we are in a country where Ghana card actually captures the data of a human being. And when the human being himself appears, they say, where is your Ghana card? What type of digitalization is that? That you digitalize, take my biodata on a card, and when I appear, I'm not important, but the card that is lying at home is important. Go to your bank today and not carry your Ghana card. We will make sure that there's proper digitalization so that when you appear at the bank, you can access your digital data and be processed, and that is digitalization. That is going to be spearheaded by a blueprint that will inform our actions on digitalization. Not a walk-alone digitalization in the head of one man called Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
It's now the turn of Honorable Richard Acheampong. Honorable Richard Acheampong, you have the floor.
This debate. What is going on? What is going on here? What is going on here? What is going on here? No. What is going on here? We will not allow this. What is going on here? What is going on in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? No. What is going on in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? That's all right. It will not happen. What's going on in this chamber? Why? Why? What's happening in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? Osofo, Jatro.
Honorable members, order.
What is going on in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? Why? Yes, I'm aware my mic is on. What's going on in this chamber? What is going on in this chamber? Why? Why? What kind of democrat? No, it has never happened in the history of Ghana's politics. Why? What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? What's going on? What's going on in this chamber? What is going on?
Let me listen to Honorable Minority Leader. Honorable Minority Leader, you have the floor. Honorable members, will you listen to your leader?
Mr. Speaker.
To your leader.
Mr. Speaker, in 2001, the MPP was in majority. The opportunity was equally given in debates. In 2004 again, the MPP was in majority. Opportunity was given equally for debate. In 2009, the NDC was in majority. Opportunity was given for members to equally share the platform for debate. 2013, the NDC was in majority. Again, the platform gave equal opportunity for members on both sides to have a debate equally. 2017, the MPP had overwhelming majority of 169, the first in our history. Mr. Speaker, in this, there was nothing like the NDC being given less opportunity to speak. Mr. Speaker, at all material times, in 2017 all the way to 2021, time allotted, if members were given 10 minutes, the 10 minutes was for both sides. 15 minutes for ranking and chair was observed. Leaders had their 30 minutes and 40 minutes, and it was done for both sides. Again, when it came to how the debates had to be shared, if the NDC minority had 5, the MPP majority equally had 5. Mr. Speaker, it must be emphasized that even in travels, when it came to delegations, there was nothing like the majority having more. Mr. Speaker, it never happened. Travels, can I finish? When I'm done, Honorable, when I'm done, you have the opportunity to also have your bite. So listen. Mr. Speaker, in opposition, I recall...
Honorable Minority Leader, this is a House of record.
Can I finish my submissions?
No, I just want to clarify the issue with you.
Let me finish my submission, most respectfully.
As a House of record, are you saying as a fact that in travel, the proportions are not applied?
Mr. Speaker, I am making my submission. Let me finish. Mr. Speaker, let me finish. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader will have an opportunity to come and make his submissions. May I finish? Mr. Speaker, I had an opportunity. May I use myself as an example? Fact that I know. Mr. Speaker, I had an opportunity to travel with Honorable
Minority Leader, let me recognize Majority Leader.
That's fine. Please recognize him.
Mr. Speaker, he made a statement claiming that travels were equally distributed, which is not the case. You are trying to draw his attention so that he will correct that, and he's refusing to correct that. Mr. Speaker, this shouldn't be the way that we go about business in this House. The records are capturing that, which is not true. It is not true. It depends. If, let's say, that there's a travel in which you are sending 2 people, there you may say, okay, 1 person from minority, 1 person from majority. In which case you may say it is equal. But where you have a delegation of 5, it has never been the case that we will share equally. So, Mr. Speaker, at least correct that fact and continue making your point. Please, let's develop that culture where when the Speaker is drawing your attention to what appears to be an inaccurate statement, deal with it.
Honorable members, as speakers, we do not take part in the debate, but sometimes we provide some guidance. So there is nothing wrong in doing your contribution. Your attention is drawn to something. The Speaker is not taking part in the debate by drawing your attention to that particular fact. It happens in every democracy. So, Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, between 2013 and 2017, I was in this House. The opportunities that I had from the Minority Caucus for travels, the delegation was equal. We were in minority. When we came into the majority, 2017 to 2021, the opportunities that I had to travel on delegation, again, I saw equal numbers. Mr. Speaker, between 2021 and 2025 January, the 8th Parliament, on all occasions of travels, there were equal numbers. Mr. Speaker, and in making this submission, I invite Hansard to refer to all records of my official travel in this House, which travels Hansard would confirm that per the administrative records, these were equal opportunity given for members to travel. That is just by the way. Now let's come to debates. Mr. Speaker, it has never been the practice of this House that when it comes to debates based on numerical strength, the minority will have less time, and to worsen the case, the minority is even given less opportunity in terms of numbers, all because the majority has more. Mr. Speaker, I have had cause to draw the attention of my colleagues in the majority that only yesterday we were to the right of Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I recall all the concerns that the minority then raised, and we had to bend over to ensure that they were heard. Mr. Speaker, this precedent that is being set, Mr. Speaker, let us be careful. Mr. Speaker, the last time the majority leader, when he was presenting the business statement and brought this matter up, he said that, the public is getting a certain impression that we are overshadowing them. Those were his words. The majority leader, I'm not misquoting, the man is right here. He said that because of the equal numbers that we share in debate, the public is getting a certain impression that we are overshadowing them. Hansard is there. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minority Leader, the Majority Leader is on his feet. So
very well, you can, Mr. Speaker. It is his bona fide. Recognize him. I'll come back.
Mr. Speaker, the point I made on Friday was that when you have 188 people sharing equal time with 88 people. 88 people. I said, when you have 188 people sharing allocated time when
you have the floor.
188 people sharing time equally with 88 people, what you do is that you give more opportunity to the 88 people, is that okay, than the 188. That was the point I made, to the extent that because your side gets to speak more often than my side, one of your former ministers went on television and said that the people on this side don't know how to debate, they don't participate in debate because you get more frequent opportunities than the people on this side. That's the point I made. That was the point I made that day.
Yes, you have the floor. Continue.
Mr. Speaker, just before I continue with my submissions, the records of this House have it that the MPP minority has 88, the NDC has 183, the 4 independent members wrote to inform Speaker that they were going to join the NDC. Therefore, the majority is made up of 187 members, not 188 for the record. Mr. Speaker, I decided to listen quietly so that I do the correction without rising on a point of order. And I want the majority leader to oblige me. Mr. Speaker, they are trying to set a bad precedent, which bad precedent will bring chaos to this House, which bad precedent will crucify democracy. Mr. Speaker, we have human rights activists on the majority side. The lead human rights activist is the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, why are they trying to, as it were, go against the promises of our Constitution? Equal opportunity. Equal opportunity. Equal opportunity. Mr. Speaker, is guaranteed. Mr. Speaker, we will not. Mr. Speaker, we will not. I repeat, we will not accept, allow the majority to use its numbers to intimidate us. Mr. Speaker, they should know that they are not going to be in this majority forever. Today, the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, is in this House, and his side is proposing this. Hey, Haruna. Hey, Haruna. Hey, Haruna.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Mahama Yariga, who was the de facto legal advisor to the Atuforcing leadership, is today saying that if he gets 3, we should get 1. It won't happen today, it won't happen tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, this is coming from a Harvard scholar. Mr. Speaker, this is coming from the Harvard scholar.
Honorable Minority Leader, I think you've made your point.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not
Conclude.
done. Mr. Speaker, I'm not done with respect. I'm not done with respect.
You've made your point. It's very clear.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I will land.
May you conclude.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
Asha.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the last time when this matter came up, the second deputy speaker, who was in the chair, made it clear that Mr. Speaker himself, when the matter came up for discussion, opposed to this arrangement, and I said that we should go to Mr. Speaker for a discussion on this matter. The second deputy speaker rejected this proposal. We therefore, Mr. Speaker, approved the business committee report without that item. So this is not a matter that we have agreed to. Mr. Speaker, it is a way they want to use to run away from their own SONA. We are ready to debate the SONA. If they don't want us to debate the SONA, they should say so. If you cannot stand the heat of the minority, you can walk out. Walk out is part of parliamentary practice. You should walk out. You can go out. Today you say you have majority. Look at your seat. Look at all the empty seats. You are even less than 70. You are 64. You claim that you are majority, 64. 187, you only bring 64. For an important day like this. Absent majority. Absentee majority members. Where are they? Count. Empty seats all over. Empty seats. Empty seats. Then you want to use the empty seats to intimidate us. We will not allow you. It won't happen today. It won't happen tomorrow. We will resist you. Mr. Speaker, please rule on this matter. Stop them. It is our turn to debate. We are ready. Honorable Abna Osei Asari is ready. She's our next to debate. Allow her to debate. You are not calling another person from the outside. I submit.
Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, last Friday morning, the Business Committee met, and our own standing order says one of the responsibilities of the Business Committee is to allot time for debate. And we agreed that we were going to debate for 4 days. 4 days. And for each of the days, there will be 10 contributors. So if you multiply 4 by 10, that will be 40. This side of the House, represented at the committee meeting by 4 members, proposed that we should share the time equally. They will take 20, and this side will take 20. So each day, 5 people on this side and 5 people on our side. And our side said no. We cannot allot the time equally because we are not equal. We are not equal. Mr. Speaker, we
Majority Leader, continue. Majority Leader, continue. Honorable Minority Leader, with all due respect, he is making allusion to matters that happen at Business Committee. I am mindful of giving the floor to the Majority Whip to also speak on the matter, to the Minority Whip to also speak on the matter, so that he can have the opportunity to make his view heard as to the matters at the Business Committee. That is what I intend to do. Honorable Minority Leader, you see, Honorable Minority Leader, the practice, the convention is very clear that at any point in time, I will recognize the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader against each other on a point of order. But to recognize another person against the Minority Leader and the Majority Leader on the point of order, that is not the way we should go. That's not the way we should go. You know the time-tested practice. So what do you want us to do otherwise? Honorable members, order. You see, if it were to be the Minority Leader who is up on a point of order against the Majority Leader, I would have recognized him. Honorable Minority Leader, what you are telling me to do now will be to the effect that what your side is requesting me to do will be to the effect that any time at all, you as the Minority Leader, you are on your feet, I can recognize any other member on a point of order. Minority Leader, I will give you the floor.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the practice has always been that leadership, when any of the five, there is a point of order, a member in leadership can rise. Mr. Speaker, you sitting in as Speaker, Mr. Speaker, check the records. The Fiamako is a chief whip. Mr. Speaker, can I finish?
The absence of
Mr. Speaker, can I finish?
The Majority
Mr.
Leader.
Speaker, can I finish? The problem is that you also don't listen to us. I have had several occasions where Rickett will be seated. And the Fiamako will rise on the point of order against me, and I will resume my seat. It is the chief whip of the minority who got up on his feet to raise a point of order. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I will bring you Hansard, where the majority leader was seated right here, yet the Fiamako rose on a point of order against me. The Hansard is there, where you were presiding. Mr. Speaker, let us get the president clear. The minority chief whip was on his feet on a point of order. When I was making my submission, the majority leader stood up on 3 occasions against me on a point of order. He was at the business committee meeting. At least recognize him. He's a chief whip in leadership. I'm not saying that any other member outside. I'm not saying so. So please, kindly recognize him with all due respect.
Minority leader, if it is matters emanating from the business committee, allow the majority leader to land, and I will give the floor to the minority chief whip.
You never, this point of order, you never allowed me to finish my point. Mr. Speaker, let us not treat ourselves this way. What is happening is dangerous for democracy. It is dangerous. It is dangerous, Mr. Speaker. It is dangerous. Allow him to make his point of order submission. If he finishes and you think that it is not well situated, you can rule him out. But please allow him, Mr. Speaker. Allow him. I'm pleading with you. Please allow him.
Minority chief whip, strictly on point of order under order 122.
Speaker, the majority leader was misleading the House. First of all, the business committee, he came late. Before he arrived, we had come to some good agreement. First, we had agreed on a number of people who should speak before he came. We had agreed that 5 apiece, 5 on our side, 5 on their side. We had also agreed that committee chairs, ranking members, and deputies will be allocated 15 minutes. Other members in leadership will be allocated 20 minutes. Then other members will be allocated 10 minutes. That was it. That was the agreement. The 5-5 was agreed. This morning, Speaker, at conclave, I gave you the list. If they had contrary view, they should have raised it at conclave. What is this? Why are we picking and choosing? So he shouldn't mislead the House. And next time, he should come early enough. If he has very good suggestions to make at the business committee, he should come to the meeting on time. He came late. And when he came, the decision has been taken already.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, what was the decision contained in the business statement adopted on Friday?
Speaker, you have asked me a question. Can I answer? Can I answer? Yes. So the second deputy who presided, we debated on same matter, and the second deputy said that the matter on the number of people who speak on each side, the convention and practice should be sustained. That was a ruling. That was a ruling. And he said, as far as it's concerned, one here, one there. That was it. That was it. That was the decision. You can refer to the Hansard. That was the decision.
Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, the work that we do in this House requires the highest level of integrity. The Speaker himself today severally reiterated the importance of integrity. Mr. Speaker, I arrived at the business committee meeting late. And then when they indicated that they had agreed that they would present 5 people and we will present 5 people, I objected. I said, no, this is not possible. There and then, my chief whip then said, it is as if leader was here. When you made this proposal, I objected, but you overpowered me. You see, my leader has come and he has repeated the same position. Those are the facts. He knows. I won't lie. Mr. Speaker, I won't lie.
Order.
So apparently it had been raised by the chief whip on this side, but they concluded that it will be fine. I said no. I said I will not accept it because you cannot be 88 and then we will be 187 and we will share the same equally with you. I refused. So we debated and debated and debated. We could not arrive at a consensus. Because we could not arrive at a consensus, we said that the matter should be put to a vote. The matter was put to a vote, and they said they didn't want to vote, and they were objecting to the decision. I said the standing orders say decision should be by voting. So if you vote, vote. If you won't vote, then you are abstaining. And they said they were not abstaining. I said, you are not abstaining, you are not voting. What kind of position is that? So we voted, and we recorded the votes. And the vote was that 7 of us approved the decision to use the population size in the House as a ratio by which we will share contribution. 4 of them said we should record that they were against the decision. We said that means that you are voting against the decision. 7 have voted for, so we have taken the day. We came to this chamber, we reported. We rehearsed the same arguments. The same argument, the arguments that he's repeating here, was rehearsed on Friday here in this chamber. And we said, look, the rules are that business committee should program debate, allot time, and we have met and we have allotted the time. This side will take 68% of the time, and you will take 32% of the time. Then they objected. The vote was the report was adopted. After the adoption of the report, then the speaker made some statements saying that he thinks that vote contribution should be governed by Order 115. And I said, no, that's your opinion. So I insisted that we should state clearly what the conclusion was. Then he said that the conclusion of the House was that it had adopted the report of the business committee. Is that okay? At the report of the business committee. But he, the speaker, had expressed his view on the matter. He said it was just his view. Everybody was here. He said it was just his view. But that the report is what has been adopted, and the report says that this side should enjoy 68% of the time, and this side should enjoy 32% of the time. That was the conclusion. Mr. Speaker, we will go by the conclusions of the business committee as adopted. If you will not participate in the debate, you can leave. You can leave. We will debate. We will debate. We are going to debate. We will debate. We are going to debate. And this is going to be the order of business going forward. Mr. Speaker, he spent about 30 minutes trying to justify his position. Our side.
Honourable members.
Our position.
You are on point of order. Well, Honourable Habib.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader is misleading the House. He's misleading the House in a sense that when he presented the business statement, I was the first to be on my feet. And I raised the issue with regards to precedents of this House. And I also draw the Speaker's attention to Order 115. I drew the attention of the Speaker to that. And Mr. Speaker, if you check the business statement then, based on the narration he was given, at the conclusion part on that subject matter of proportion in terms of debate, concluded, and if I can paraphrase, saying that the minority, however, disagreed, and it was now for the consideration of the House. Mr. Speaker, you know when matters from committee are referred back to the chamber for consideration and the procedure as such. So I invited the Speaker for us to expunge that from the record, because even as at then, we did not even have a decision quorum to take that decision on consideration of that from the committee. Then the majority leader was now on his feet, trying to say that he's going to amend the report by just standing for the fact that I raised the matter of unavailability of decision quorum. So, Mr. Speaker, it is not true that we approve the business statement to confirm that we should speak on.
So, do you mean to say a decision quorum to have a business statement adopted?
No, at the business statement, if I don't have
a copy
business
now, committee.
Business committee report. The business committee report, I don't have a copy, but on that particular matter, they concluded.
No, the point that I want a clarification from you. Are you saying we need the number for making a decision under Article 104 to be able to adopt the business statement?
Mr. Speaker, that part, not the entire business statement, that part, ordinary business statement, when it comes, it's in a particular form, but that decision, the clerk or what was presented in the report was to the effect that the minority, however, disagree, and it is now for the consideration of the House. It was written on the report. After his attention was, so it is not true that we agree on that percentage. What we agree in approving that business statement was that one will speak here, one will speak here, and that was the decision, and nothing less than that.
Honorable Deputy Whip, how is a decision taken at a business committee or any committee? Is it by a majority or consensus?
Mr. Speaker, in many a time, business committee reports are by consensus. In this particular matter, it was specified in the report that it was for the consideration of the House. There was no consensus. And we did not take such decision. And the decision we took was to the effect that one here, and nothing less, nothing more. And that is what we stand by.
Honorable Majority Leader,
Mr.
you may conclude on the issues.
Honorable Habib was not even at the business committee meeting. He wasn't at the business committee meeting. He wasn't at the business committee meeting. Mr. Speaker, Standing Order 284, which governs voting at committee. And let me read it. It says that a decision at committee shall ordinarily be by consensus. Then 2 says that where a committee is unable to reach consensus, the decision shall be by majority vote of the members present, either by voice vote or by head count. So we argued about this arrangement, voting arrangement, debate arrangement, and we couldn't reach consensus. I cited this standing order and said, since we cannot reach a consensus, we'll have to vote. And then we voted, and we were 7 on the majority side, and they were 4. And they said their heads should not be counted, I remember. And I went around holding their head, saying that, oh, since your head doesn't want to be counted, we joked about it at the committee meeting. And then when we finished, for the avoidance of doubt, I insisted at the meeting that the clerk should state clearly what she's going to record at the meeting. And she repeated the conclusion and said that 7 voted for and 4 said we should record that they were against. So I said, make sure that is what is captured in the report. When the report came here, then there was an insertion that 7 voted for, and then 4 said they were against, and that the matter is being referred to plenary to decide. That's what was contained in the report. So he drew my attention to that aspect of the report. Subsequently, I followed up with the clerk and asked, why did you put that? The clerk said, oh, but everything that is discussed is subject to plenary adoption. The entire report has to be adopted. So you have voted, 7 of you have voted for this arrangement, 4 are against, but whatever it is that you have done here has to be accepted by plenary. So plenary is the final arbiter of the matter. That's the explanation that the clerk gave me. Jethro is here, the clerk. So later on, I said, no problem. So here, we had the debate. They raised the issue of Order 115. The Speaker intervened. He expressed his opinion. We told the Speaker that the business statement is what is going to be adopted. And what is contained in the business statement is what the House has adopted to guide business next week, to govern the debate. And so this is how we concluded. And when the Speaker, after expressed his views, I still said, Speaker, I want the record to be clear on what the decision of today is. You remember? And I repeated it 3 times. 3 times, Mr. Speaker. The journalists are all here. The record is there. Please, let's have integrity. It is there. The clerks were sitting here. And I insisted 3 times that I wanted clarity so that a day like this doesn't come. And he was clear that what is contained in the report and adopted by the House is what will govern the House. But he, as Speaker, thinks that Order 115 will govern. I said, what do you think is different? What is in the report is what the House has adopted. That is how come today we are giving you the numbers that we are giving you. Mr. Speaker, that is it. This House is governed by rules. As for what has happened in the past, if some majorities slept over their rights, that's up to them. But this majority is saying that it is most unfair that when we have an opportunity to debate, and we are 187, you say we're 187, and you are 88, then we will share the time equally. You take 20, we take 20. I mean, it doesn't reflect the balance in the House. Mr. Speaker, you are talking about rights. Every member of Parliament
Your microphone.
If we accept the arrangement, it means that you get 2 opportunities and the people here get 1 opportunity. That's the arrangement that we have. You get 2 opportunities and the people here get 1 opportunity. And I'm saying that's not fair. That's not equitable. That's not fair. You are talking about human rights. You are violating the rights of the majority by this kind of arrangement. That's why we concluded. And what we concluded on a business statement, business committee, and was adopted here is what will govern the debate. Mr. Speaker, it won't change. 2 on this side, 1 on the other side.
Honourable members, I think we have debated this matter for far too long. My view is that there is no issue that cannot be resolved by our own standing orders. We have to build a consensus. And in the absence